Hello, what's up guys? This is gonna be my first impression video of Xplane 12, focusing on weather and environment and season change in Xplane 12. By the time I'm recording this video, it's just less than 2 days that Xplane 12 has been released. But in these 2 days, many people are filling YouTube with arguing with Austin and Laminar Research and Xplane guys that what is this? This is just an Xplane 11, nothing has changed. So I'm not gonna say they are wrong and I'm not gonna say they are right. You have seen all these videos about Xplane demos right there, and also we all have seen Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Microsoft Flight Simulator in 2020 changed all the equation of Flight Simulator world. So if there wasn't any Flight Simulator 2020, everything would be different right now, and Xplane 12 would be on the top news. But right now, the expectation have changed. I myself cannot think about coming back to Xplane 11 for just sightseeing and VFR flying. So Xplane 12 just also the same for VFR flying and just seeing around. I cannot compare Xplane 12 and Microsoft Flight Simulator. But Xplane 12 has another capabilities, and that's not for maybe normal people that are just gonna enjoy the scenery. Xplane 12 is actually an engineering tool. It's actually a pilot training tool. It has blade element theory that you can experience real challenge of flying an aircraft inside that. If you're already a pilot and have experience with real aircraft, you know that flight simulator flight handling is just a joke. It's just a game. But in Xplane, you can have all the challenges, for example, crosswind landings, gusty winds. So as you can see, there are two different projects. So you should consider what is your goal with the flight simulator. I myself am going to use both of them. Xplane 12, I'm going to use it for engineering and teaching and aviation trainings. But flight simulator is great for just sightseeing, seeing around the world, doing some VATSIM online training. I'm still going to use Flight Simulator 2020. But anyway, I hope one day these two products can work together, or maybe have the advantages of each other, so we have the great flight dynamics of Xplane to Xplane inside our Microsoft Flight Simulator and vice versa. Okay, anyway, let's stop just talking and see what's happening inside Xplane, and let's figure out the weather improvements and see what's good and what's bad in Xplane 12. Okay guys, let's see what is Xplane 12 in action. If you haven't downloaded the free limited version or early access version of Xplane 12, go ahead and download it for free. It's absolutely free, you can use it. It's limited to Portland International Airport and 15 minutes limit of each time you're going to use. Okay, we know we're using demo, and that's okay, we're good to go. Now you can see my settings, everything is almost maxed out. I'm using FSR and I'm going to use the lateral field of view of 65 degrees and the 4K resolution. Okay, let's go to new, and I'm going to use Cessna 172. And the most fun part is this weather and time of the day. Actually, my idea is a little bit rude or maybe pessimistic. Everything other than marginal VFR overcast is almost Xplane 11 in scenery. But when you click on marginal VFR overcast and have that beautiful rain effects and beautiful weather, and you can change the time of the year, the weather, the seasons, that's where I love Xplane 12 yet. I haven't explored it yet completely, but I only follow it maybe 20 minutes. But in this 20 minutes, I liked only the weather and seasons. Actually, I can say Xplane 12 is an atmospheric and weather expansion for Xplane 11. That's at least is my view, the first sight. Okay, let's see it in action. Okay, we are in Cessna 172 in Portland International, and you can see this beautiful rain effects. And you can see the ground texture is better than Xplane 11, but not that much good. Let's see a view. Look at that beautiful thunderstorm and the sun. That is beautiful. Okay, but I love this haze. I love the haze environment. But honestly, look at these trees. I accept that they are very better than Xplane 11 trees, but not even close to the trees and grass and textures and Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Or look at these very normal houses with very artificial texture. I don't know, maybe Microsoft Flight Simulator do something with the borders of the object that make them much more realistic, and Xplane 12 is not doing it. Maybe the border in Xplane 12 is very fixed and doesn't have a gradient, or maybe I'm not a graphic expert, but I love the haze in the weather. Okay, let's go ahead and change from, let's change it to, we were in July right now. That was the summer environment of Portland. Now let's change it to something. Actually, I have never been to Portland. I don't know the weather and environment out there. Okay, as you can see, it's a little bit more green, I guess. Yes, actually, it's more green. But anyway, it seems Portland is a green environment. I have no experience there. So let's change it to something else. Instead of April, let's go to winter, January, or maybe February. Let's change it to January and apply the changes and see what happens. We expect to see some cold environment, cold colors, or the trees shouldn't have, yeah, as you can see, the trees are almost no green, they don't have any leaf on it, so yeah, it's absolutely good. It's not something very fascinating, but I like it. It is something that the flight simulator need. You need to change the environment based off the season. For example, in the city that I fly, except for the spring, all the time it's just brown. But in the spring, you can see some green environments as well. So it's fun to have the environment change over the year. Okay, now there are some options here, variation across the region. Let's change it to maximum variation and see if anything changes. I don't witness anything special, and I'm not sure if that works as I expected. Maybe it means it works when you fly from one area to another area, but actually I didn't see any special changes here, at least in this scenery. Okay, let's go to weather, and again, this is on maximum variation right now. And I didn't see any special changes. Maybe, okay. Let's change the precipitation to severe, and let's make everything wild here. Okay, you can see the water droplets are much more, have more density, but still it's not heavy. It's not severe. Please, I expect it to be much more severe. Okay, so now let's make it more fun. Let's get back to weather. The precipitation is severe. You can change the runway environment as well, but let's go to the temperature. Let's change it to something crazy cold, and let's see what will happen. Actually, the color changes. As you can see, the environment color is much more colder. Actually, you can feel that it is colder. Maybe in VR, it gives you the sense of it, that it's cold. But as you can see, the environment hasn't changed. But if I am true, I found a bug here. So I'm going to discuss it with you. It's just a little bit UI bug, I think. Let's change the setting here. Let's make airport temperatures maybe a little bit colder. I just want to make sure that it is a bug or not. You can also change the variation as well. Again, almost nothing changed. So my expectation is true. Okay, here where I finally understood what is the bug. This is a very small UI bug. Unless you won't change the precipitation, the weather environment won't change. As you can see, the moment I change the weather environment, the precipitation, then the world changes. So let's check to see that my assumption is correct. By the way, I love this snowy environment. This is magnificent. This is great. So let's change the temperature to something crazy, 50, 60 degrees Celsius, but don't touch the precipitation. Let's see what will happen. Yeah, as you can see, the weather is, colors are hot, but you can still see snow and the 60 degrees Celsius weather. But the moment you touch the precipitation, it will become okay. Let's change it to something else and then change it to severe, and let's get back. And yeah, that's okay. This is summer. This is nothing important, it's just early access beta. There are lots of bugs in UIs, but it might be a little bit confusing for you. So, okay, let's come back to the test. Let's make the temperature something crazy, and again, precipitation severe. Let's change it to maximum variation. See if it changed anything. Apply. Okay, that's what I love. This is very beautiful, but the ground effect is very great. The reflection of the ice, the water droplets, the ice on the ground, the ice texture on the vehicle is perfect. Let's turn on the pitot heat, but of course it won't help because our aircraft won't have engine anti-ice, but at least our pitot won't be freeze. Okay. The reflection of ice is very beautiful, but as you can see, again, the boundaries are very fixed in Xplane. The boundary between the runway and the taxi, the boundary between the building and the sky, the trees, I don't know, everything. Maybe they need some shadowing. I tried a lot and compared the Microsoft Flight Simulator with Xplane. I don't know for sure what is different. When you are in Xplane, you feel that you are in a simulator environment. Everything looks something like painting or drawing. But when you are in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, it's much more different. You feel you are there, you feel the object. Look at for example, look at the taxiway shoulders where the ice accumulation is started. It's just a simple line. I think the problem is here. Maybe Explain graphic guys know that better. But by the way, look at the way that this Cessna is sleeping on the ice. This is beautiful. It's just sleeping over the ground. I'm trying to control it, but it's not. As you can see, I'm putting the right rudder to the full deflection, but we are going to the left. This is beautiful. This is not a real weather that you should be on the runway with your Cessna. It's minus 59 degrees, I think. You can also look at the slip and turn indicator to make sure that we are not experiencing a skid. In the normal condition, when you turn on the ground, you will see the full deflection of the ball to the opposite side of the train, which means you're skidding. But here it doesn't happen. Sometimes it's on the center, sometimes it's on the skidding side, sometimes it's on the slipping side. So if you know the turn coordinator, you can easily understand that we are slipping right now. Okay, now let's continue and try to put this bird on the air and let's see if it can fly. Right now the temperature is minus 59. As far as I know, Xplane is does not take care about the engine minimum temperature. So, and minus 59, I think the Cessna engine won't even start. But anyway, if you manage to somehow start your engine at this temperature, you won't experience carburetor heat ice or maybe even wing ice, windshield ice. You won't experience any of that because after maybe minus 20, the ice won't accumulate. If you are a pilot, you already know that. So that's what Xplane is modeling. As you can see, we are flying almost normal. The RPM is at max RPM at 2300. Although it's a bit less than the maximum RPM, but it's okay. As you can see, we can fly it, but the temperature is minus 30 degrees Celsius. So this is okay. At least we are not having carburetor ice, and we can also test the landing. As you can see that we have a much higher speed. The effects on the windshield also changing. Let's do a very wide and irregular turn, a base turn, the runway, and try to land. As you can see, if we can see the sleeping on the runway or not. The runway vision is perfect. The ice on the runway, the water still there on the runway is perfect. And I successfully managed to broke my flap because I just switched the buttons and instead of trimming and used flaps. Okay, no problem, we're gonna land with almost no flap. Okay, we're touchdown and I'm trying to hold center line, but it's already sleeping. Okay, now I lost the control. As you can see, I'm deflecting the rudder full to the left, but it is sleeping in the other side. and I'm also applying brake, and we are slipping just like a skiing on the runway. Okay, that's normal behavior. We won't expect the wings or engine or even pitot to become icy or froze during minus 30 degrees. But anyway, don't try that. Don't try don't fly in minus 30 because we have a precipitation. Precipitation is still dangerous. But in normal world, we won't have precipitation in minus 30 degrees. Okay, that's complicated. Let's come back to the simulated world and change the temperature to something like minus 5. And let's see what will happen. In this condition, our engine should lose its power. We are experiencing carburetor heat. Then even our wings would just lose their lift, and they will only generate drag. So I assume we won't be able to even take off. Okay, as you can see, it's horrible. Okay, we are slipping on the runway. I'm trying to brake, but it's not possible. So any flight instructor would just yell at me that, what are you doing here? But I'm just trying to demonstrate the slipping of the Xplane on this runway and sand and different. Oh, look at that beautiful frozen water droplet inside the glasses and windshield. That is beautiful. This way Xplane shows us that they can do perfect on graphics, but maybe they don't like it, or maybe they don't have time for that. They can do a great job, but maybe Xplane 12 is a little bit, maybe it's not yet completed. Look at that, the runway numbers and the holding signs on the runway. They are very beautiful. They're exactly like the real world when there's ice accumulation inside over the numbers. Okay, let's try to see if we can take off again. Definitely we won't be able. It's almost impossible. At minus 5 degrees Celsius with severe precipitation. Oh, look at this windshield. There's frozen droplets on the windshield. You can barely see outside. Look at the RPM. I am almost max throttle right now, and it's 2000. And it is decreasing. We are losing engine power. And I'm doing my best to hold the center line, but I can't. In the real world, I would turn on the cabin heat as well. Or maybe alternate or static air. I'm not sure if it won't. No, it won't help here. Okay, as you can see, the maximum RPM is decreasing. Now it's about 700, and it's also decreasing. I'm trying to rotate the nose in the air, but won't help. It won't take off. By the way, this is the power of Xplane. As I told you, I want to say that Xplane is doing very great in managing the weather environment, the seasonal environment, the ground texture in precipitation, not just normal ground texture. I think the normal ground texture is just the same as Xplane 11, or even worse if you have used some third-party plugins as well. Even the volumetric clouds are not very perfect if you have used some third parties such as Xenviro or any other third party for the weather engine. You see that still even the volumetric clouds are not perfect. They're very better than Xplane 11, but they're not perfect. Other than these changes, I don't see any other improvement in the graphics. Let's do, I have found another bug here as well, so let's see that. We are going to start on the final approach of the runway with the same weather condition. But as you can see, the icing won't happen. I'll continue the landing and do the landing for you, but the icing won't happen, at least. I don't know why. But the moment we touch down, we see that every crazy things about IC will start happening. Besides the graphics, there are maybe some other consideration for Xplane 12 as well. For example, if you have watched my videos inside my channel, you see that I usually use a TRC old Cessna analog panel, and I use XP UIPC and XP White client to communicate with my old panel with Xplane. But as soon as I connect the Xplane 12 to the XP UIPC, suddenly Xplane crash. It means that they have some compatibility issue. I'm not sure if it will be fixed in the future or not. If that would be the case, the FSUIPC and XPUIPC are not yet compatible with this version. I hope they will fix it as soon as possible. I tried it several times, but the moment that XPUIPC tries to connect to Xplane, it just crashes. So right now I cannot use my panel with Xplane 12 yet. Okay, let's get back to flight. As you can see, we managed to land very easily with this severe weather. But as soon as we touched down, the droplets started to appear, the icing started to appear. That's not normal. This should be another early access bug, and they will fix it. I'm trying to hold center line. Okay, that's it, guys. I hope you are enjoying Xplane 12 just like how I am enjoying it. As I told you during this video, I think Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 and Xplane 12 or Xplane, they are not, you cannot compare them together. Xplane is very advanced at computing the flight dynamics using blade element theory, or using for engineering aspect, using the UDP serial serial output, using the data, connected your your own aircraft, creating your own aircraft. But Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 is almost the visually is for just some people that want to enjoy the environment, have some VFR flight. But Xplane 12 is for another purpose. It would be perfect if both of them could be. For example, the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 has the advantage of Xplane, and Xplane have the great sceneries and graphics of Flight Simulator 2020. But at least right now we don't have the opportunity to have this dream simulator, so we have to stick with what we have. Let me know what you think about Xplane 12 and Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, and leave me some comments. In the next videos, I'm going to show you the Xplane 12 triple display capabilities, and maybe VR tests and some other videos if I have time next week. Okay, happy flying and good day.